Sindbad the Sailor was known everywhere for his many adventures. One day, while resting in the busy port of Basra, he overheard a story from an old sailor. The story was about a faraway island where a big mountain stood, full of shining diamonds. But the island was dangerous, and many sailors had never come back after going there. Sindbad became very curious. His heart raced with excitement at the thought of finding such treasure. He knew at once that he had to go there and claim the riches. "Prepare the ship," Sindbad told his crew. "We leave tomorrow." With the wind in their sails and the sea ahead, Sindbad and his crew set off. The ocean was big and mysterious, and as the days went by, the crew became worried. They sailed past strange lands, and odd sounds could be heard at night. The air felt heavy with a sense of danger, but Sindbad told his men, "We are meant to find the treasure." After many days, the crew finally saw land, a small island rising from the sea like a giant beast. The island was beautiful yet strange. Trees with silver leaves shimmered in the wind, and the ground was covered with shiny stones. Sindbad knew at once this was the place from the old stories. The crew got off the ship excited to explore. "Look at these gems!" one of the sailors shouted, picking up a diamond from the ground. Sindbad's eyes sparkled. "These must be the treasures of the mountain," he said, but in his mind a small voice warned him. That night, around the campfire, Sindbad told the crew an old story about the mountain. "The diamonds of this mountain are guarded by a giant serpent, a creature as old as the earth itself," Sindbad said. "It will not let anyone take what belongs to it." The crew listened closely, but greed made them forget the warning. "We will take the diamonds anyway," one sailor muttered. "Nothing can stop us." The next morning they climbed the mountain, which stood high above the island. The air felt heavy, like something was watching them. "Do you hear that?" one of the sailors asked. "It sounds like a warning." Sindbad nodded. The mountain was silent, but something about it made him uneasy. It was as though the land itself was holding its breath. As the crew picked up the jewels, the ground started to shake. A deep growling sound echoed through the cave, and it became very cold. A shadow moved on the walls, and a huge roar shook the whole mountain. The creature, the serpent, had woken up. The sailors froze in fear. "Run!" Sindbad shouted, but the serpent's fiery eyes locked onto them. The serpent slithered towards them, its giant body blocking the way out. Its mouth opened wide, showing sharp teeth. The sailors ran in all directions, but the beast was too fast. Sindbad grabbed a torch from the wall and lit some dry leaves, hoping to make a barrier, but the fire was small and the serpent easily avoided it. "We need to get out of here," Sindbad yelled. Thinking fast, Sindbad led his crew to a narrow tunnel that led outside the mountain. "The serpent can't follow us here," he said. They crawled through the tight passage, but the serpent was still close behind. At the end of the tunnel, they came out on a steep cliff. The serpent was right behind them, the cliff's edge was just in front of them, and a huge drop led down to the rocks below. "We can't go down," one sailor cried. Sindbad had an idea. He tied a rope to a nearby tree and tossed it over the edge. "We can climb down, one at a time," he said. The crew started climbing down, but the serpent's roar grew louder. It was almost upon them. As the last sailor climbed down, Sindbad stopped and looked up at the serpent. Its eyes burned with anger, and it was almost on top of him. But then he remembered an old story about a secret path hidden in the mountain. "Follow me," Sindbad shouted. He ran along a hidden trail that went around the mountain, trying to stay ahead of the serpent's strikes. The path was steep and hard, but it was their only chance. The path led them to a small cave deep inside the mountain. Inside, they found a hidden treasure chest filled with ancient scrolls, not jewels. Sindbad was surprised. "This is not what I expected," he thought. But the serpent was still coming, its eyes glowing in the dark. The dragon, now revealed to be a dragon, roared in anger. Its wings beat the air as it tried to squeeze through the narrow cave entrance. "We have to stop it," one of the sailors shouted. Sindbad thought fast. He had no weapons or armor, only his cleverness. Sindbad quickly made a plan. He took the chest of scrolls and put it at the cave's entrance. "If we block the entrance, the dragon can't fit through," he said. The crew pushed the chest toward the entrance, but the dragon lunged at them, just missing. They finally managed to block the way, but the creature's rage was far from over. While they waited in the cave, Sindbad realized something important. The treasure they had come for, the diamonds, were nothing compared to what he had learned. "We survived with our minds, not our greed," he said to his crew. "The real treasure is our lives, not the jewels." The sailors nodded, understanding for the first time the meaning of his words. The dragon, unable to reach them, slowly backed away. Its roars echoed through the mountain as it disappeared into the darkness. "We're free," Sindbad said, though his heart still carried the weight of what he had learned. With the dragon gone, the crew thought about what to do next. The treasure was still there, but Sindbad knew it wasn't worth the risk. "We leave now," Sindbad said. "The Diamond Mountain is no place for us." Reluctantly, the crew agreed. They made their way back to the shore, each sailor thinking about the adventure they had survived. As the ship sailed away from the island, Sindbad looked back. The mountain, once a place of wonder and greed, now seemed distant and unimportant. He knew they had gained something more valuable than diamonds, the wisdom to appreciate life. One sailor who had been most excited about the treasure looked out at the sea with regret. "If only we had taken the jewels," he sighed, "we could have been rich forever." Sindbad smiled, but there was a sadness in his eyes. "Wealth cannot buy happiness," he said. "Greed comes at a high price." As they sailed back to Basra, the crew felt lighter, like a big weight had been lifted from their hearts. The real treasure, they realized, was not the diamonds or gold. It was the life they had saved and the wisdom they had gained. Sindbad smiled as he looked out over the sea. He had sailed through many adventures, but this one had taught him the greatest lesson of all. The true value of life lies in surviving, not in treasure. And so the story of Sindbad and the diamond-rich mountain was passed down for generations, not as a tale of riches, but as a story of wisdom, courage, and the dangers of greed.